Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
This one I can do.
So I never get the opportunity to pick master locks because
we have 1 minute and 30 seconds left. We're doing the two-headed giant push 'em. So we started out with a big pile of locks on each side, and each person from the team, so this is a team and this is a team, and this team had to pick the locks that they had in front of them and push them over to the next guy, and then these guys had to pick those locks and push them back. The team that ends the 10 minutes with the least amount of locks wins.
getting annihilated.
What are these white ones, man?
Those are all just master locks.
No, there's something different.
No, there's nothing different.
There's gotta be.
There's nothing different.
The rate does not work on these little white ones.
Try.
And we almost got all of them done. She's like, thank you for giving me that one back. So she didn't know what the fuck.
Yeah, you can do the white.
Hey everybody. So I wanted to do a quick recap of tonight's events. So tonight was Bat City Locksport Meetup, and I have started my own Locksport group here in Austin, Texas. And it's May 25th. We met at 5 p.m. at Tribe Comics and Games, and I held the event from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and then we all, almost all of us, went to Torchy's Tacos afterwards and ate for about an hour from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So it was a good 4-hour event. I had a lot of fun. So I went to Tribe Comics and Games because my goal was to try to get Locksport out of the bar scene. Every single Locksport group in Texas, except for one, meets at a bar, which is wonderful. I think it's great that people can have some common interests with locks and drinking. I don't drink alcohol, so I wanted to have a venue of maybe some like-minded people, and I think I hit the nail on the head. I had several members compliment me on the venue, and they thought that it was the most perfect space because several of the members didn't drink. A lot of the members didn't want to go to a bar, even though the bars that the Locksport groups go to, they're really nice. They really are. Like one of them is called Batch Craft Brewery and Beer, so they have a lot of like craft beers, and they have kolaches and, you know, croissants. Like it's not like a dive bar or anything, but then other bars are actual legit dive bars. So I could see why other people were just super happy to be able to go to a group that's at a game store. So that was the first step, was finding the venue. When I went there, I was terrified that there would just be a lot of people and not enough tables, because there was like 12 tables, and I was like, what if every single table is taken? What if it's just a really popular Saturday and all the Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering groups are here? And I got there and there was only one table taken, and there were like 10 or 11 available tables. Like it was 6-foot tables, just as much space as we needed. So I took 2 6-foot tables and put them against each other, 12 feet of space, and I filled it with locks. I brought over 200 locks. And then I brought pick sets to sell. I had a whiteboard for drawing, you know, for my period of instruction. Like I had 3D cutaway stuff. Like I was just really prepared mentally, but I was also expecting, you know, things to not, you know, always expect the unexpected kind of thing. So I was prepared for that, to just, you know, be willing to quickly transition, to improvise, adapt, and overcome. So I showed up at 5 o'clock. People slowly started to trickle in. And so from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock was just people coming in and talking, meeting each other, shaking hands, you know, picking up locks, picking them, you know, nothing too crazy, nothing too serious. Some people, I think, were not knowing what to expect. And, you know, some people just showed up and just sat down. And I think there might have been some nervousness there, but in total, there was 9 of us. A total of 8 people RSVP'd and showed up, and then there was me, so a total of 9 of us. And then at 7 o'clock, I started 6 o'clock, I started my period of instruction. So I actually taught for like a good 35 minutes, almost 40 minutes. So I covered the Brinks padlock. I don't have one in front of me. I covered a Brinks padlock that has security pins, and it has counter milling inside the cylinder of the lock, which is very unique for especially Brinks padlock. So it makes it an intermediate level lock, and it's not high security, but it has security pins, which is very unique to Brinks as well. So I talked about all that, and I was able to use lock diagrams to describe all of that. And then I covered one tool, so I talked about the pry bar, the history of the pry bar, the manufacturers that make it, the difference between all pry bars, and the different thicknesses and different metals and the different shapes and sizes and all that nonsense. And then I talked about how to use a pry bar for top of keyway, which led into a little bit of discussion on float picking. And so I talked about the ability that you can pick some padlocks counterclockwise if you have a plug spinner to flip the core back over. So I was able to show these things. I will say though that half of the group, come here, sorry, my dog wants to say hello. I will say that half of the group were kind of beginners. They'd only been picking locks for 2 weeks, but they knew how to pick a lock. And so the other half of the group were actually more advanced. 2 of them were very advanced. One of them was a very advanced locksmith, and the other one was just a really good lock picker. Both of them were very good lock pickers, about blue belt level, green to blue belt level. So I decided I'm just going to teach them stuff that they don't know that they need to know. And if some of it goes over their head, that's fine. I'd rather teach them too much than not enough. I don't want to sit here and hold a class on here's how to rake a lock, because people are going to get bored. And you can learn how to do that anywhere online all day long. But learning about what makes this $10 lock from Walmart so unique and so difficult to pick. What is top of the keyway tension as it pertains to a pry bar? What is a pry bar? What's the history of a pry bar? All the different types of pry bars. How to use a pry bar. What is counter rotation and float picking with a pry bar? So I went through all that, and I talked for a good 35, 40 minutes. And when I finished talking about the lock, I had enough of those locks. I had like 12 of those locks that I passed them around, and we all got to practice picking the lock that I just demonstrated on and showed the concept of counter rotation. Sorry, my dog Daisy wants to say hello. Hello, Daisy. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. So, anyways, so it went really well for about 40 minutes of me talking. And I know I went over some advanced material, but I was able to show diagrams. I used a whiteboard. I showed them what, I also, have a lot of different lock diagrams in my collection. But I used a whiteboard and showed them, here's a spool pin, okay? Here's a spool pin in counter milling. And then here's a gen spool in counter milling. And then here's a Christmas tree inside a pin stack that has double counter milling. Like I'd show them there's levels to it, kind of a thing. So that was a lot of fun. So then at 7 o'clock, we held a competition. And I said, how many people want to compete? Because I had 10 different events depending on how many people want to compete. So if I have 2 people that want to compete in lockpicking, I have like 3 or 4 events just for that. And if I have 4 people that want to compete, I have 3 events for that. And if I have 10 people that want to compete, I have 2 events for that. So depending on however many people want to compete, or if I have a random number, I do have an event for that as well. So 4 people volunteered and said that they wanted to compete. So I put them in a competition that I don't remember if I'm going to be able to show this in the video or not, but I called it Two-Headed Giant Push 'em. So Two-Headed Giant, which is where you have 2 teams of 2 lockpickers sitting across from each other. And this is called Push 'em. There's also Two-Headed Giant Take 'em. And then there's another version of Two-Headed Giant that I do. But this Push 'em one was, you have 2 teams of 2 pickers, and they each start off with 10 locks each. And they have 10 minutes. And as a team, they go through and they pick a lock. When they pick a lock, they have to pass it to the opposing team. And they're trying to get rid of all their locks. The opposing team is doing the same thing. When they pick a lock, they're giving their lock to their opposing team. So 2 teams passing locks off to each other. And at the end of the 10 minutes, whoever has the least amount of locks wins. So if I have 10 locks and I can pick faster than you, and I'm giving you my locks and you can't keep up with me, I'm going to win. Also, the first person to pick all of the locks automatically wins. We had a couple that just got married yesterday and had driven down from Fort Worth to get married because they had family here in Austin. And they were super excited to be here at the meetup. And they partnered up together. It was a husband and wife team, and they partnered up against a locksmith and an engineer who were really great at picking locks. And they went at it for 10 minutes, and the husband and wife team won with only 3 locks left on their side, and the other side having like 17 locks on their side. So they won the trophy. It was super awesome. I was really surprised. I'm really happy that they won that trophy. It's super cool. I'm definitely going to have more trophies and better, bigger trophies in the future. I thought that was a really fun thing, that to see them compete and to win. And then I also had an experimental competition where I had 2 people go head to head in a timed event, so speed picking. And I had Rubik's Cube timers. So these timers, you put your hands on, and then I say go, and then you go to pick a lock, and then you touch the timer. And I don't think that the timers are necessary in a speed picking event, but it alleviates a lot of stress if you have 2 pickers who complete a lock at the exact same time, because this will get it down to, like, you know, fractions of a second. So if you have 2 pickers that are like open, open, you know, if they yell open at the same time, which is what you do when you pick a lock in a competition, you yell open, having a speed timer that you put your hands on, pick a lock, and then you touch it to pause the time alleviates any ties, because it's so accurate. So I practiced with that a little bit, and I had best 3 locks out of 5. So so they would pick 1 lock and then get their time, and they're like, all right, pick another lock, get their time. So whoever had the best time, the best 3 locks out of 5 won. So I was just experimenting, trying to figure out, you know, how to do certain different type of challenges. So I think that's the great thing about doing these Locksport meetups, is I'm experimenting with what works with different size groups and different levels of abilities. And I for these competitions, I just use Master Lock. I had like 10 or 20 Master Lock padlocks and 10 Brinks locks. So when I did the 2-headed giant push 'em, I did that. The take 'em would be if I had 20 locks lined up, 2-headed giant, so 2 teams, take 'em, which is where I'll have 20 or 30 locks lined up, and that you just grab a lock, pick it, and you keep it. So the team who can pick the most locks until all the locks are gone, or the 10-minute time limit hits, that's the team that wins. So there's push 'em and take 'em. So I had a lot of fun. This is a really great practicing ground for my teaching, and this is a really great practicing ground for trying to figure out what challenges and competitions are going to work well with small groups. And I'm trying in my head, how can I scale this up to 25 pickers, 50 pickers, 100 pickers? So that's what I'm doing. We ended at 8 o'clock. We started packing up at 7:40 because the competitions were over by then. And everybody was still there. Only one person had to leave a little bit earlier. I think one person left at like 7. And then so we packed up, and everybody helped me pack up. We rearranged the tables and cleaned up our space. You know, I took the journey of putting everything back in my truck, and then we all went to Torchy's Tacos next door, and we sat around and you know, got to know each other, told stories. Some people left as they got tired. I stayed to be the last person, and you know, told locksmith stories with the other locksmith. So it was a lot of fun. I learned a lot from these people. It's funny how much you can learn from these people. I taught martial arts for 25 years, and I forgot that when you are teaching somebody that is a beginner, they'll ask you questions about things that you haven't had to ponder in a while. And so you have to learn how to articulate these things to be able to express to them, you know, why they're having a problem. But there were also 2 very good lockpickers in the group as well. One was about a green belt level, and one was a blue belt level, if not higher. And so I was able to watch and learn from them and talk to them. And there's a lot of things that I learned about that I didn't know. And so I loved how much I learned, and I loved how much I was able to give to them. I hope they learned as much as well. So that's it. I just wanted to do a recap of the meetup and all the things that we did. I will say that a lot of people said that it was a really great venue. It was super quiet. We were the only people in the game store after 6 o'clock. So for 2 hours, the game store was ours. Like, there was just nobody else there. And I'm very fortunate for the venue. I'm very fortunate that the owner trusts us and was willing to let us use the venue. And we got out of there and cleaned up everything. It was perfect. I was really worried that the venue would not be, that the space wouldn't be, that there wouldn't be an available space. And I was like, man, I thought I knew I could do about 8 people. I knew at least 8 people would show up, but I was like, what if 10 people show up, or what if 15 people show up and I don't have the space for it? No, we had plenty of space. I could easily host 30 people there, easy. So I was very fortunate that the space was ours, and you know, I just got lucky, and everybody was super nice. It was a really, I heard a lot of compliments that it was a very good learning environment, super quiet, perfect. Nobody was judging us. There's a few people kind of looking, wondering what was going on, but I didn't care. And I don't think they cared either. So it was just the perfect environment. A lot of these people would not have felt comfortable in a bar setting doing the same thing. Also, I would have not been able to have a 30 to 40 minute period of instruction in a bar setting. Also, I would have not have been able to conduct a competition as clean and smoothly as I did. for these pickers and do everything that I did. So I had a lot of fun. Daisy wants to say hello again. Hello, Daisy. Say hello right here. Whoa. What is that, Papa? Do you see Papa? What? All right. So anyways, I had a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the next one. The next meetup is going to be on June 22nd. However, that's going to be a special meetup. I'm going to be holding a very special contest. More info on that here in the coming weeks. But it's going to be a very unique meetup. So it's going to be primarily focused around a competition. There's not going to be a period of instruction, but there is going to be a lot of lock picking. And then, you know, we'll all go to Torchy's Tacos afterwards. So a lot of fun. I'm really appreciative of everybody that watches my content. I'm appreciative that the people that showed up only showed up not through word of mouth or because they follow Meetup or anything like that. They follow me on YouTube. They were like, yeah, I was watching your video and then realized that you're in Austin, so I'd go to your meetup. And that was so cool. I'm very fortunate that my followers, my YouTube subscribers follow me and they like my content enough that they're willing to come meet me in person and, you know, do this crazy hobby with me. Someone drove an hour and a half from like Lampasas. I don't know how to say it, Lampass. I'm from Texas. I don't know half the cities here. So I'm very fortunate that people made the drive to come see me. Thank you all so much for following me. Thank you for the people that showed up. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm just a businessman blessed with many friends. So that's all I have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time.
Mr. Sandman, bring us